What's going on, peoples? It's your boy back with another reaction video. Nuggets coming back. I will be reacting to 3 real date night horror stories. I believe this is from It's a Nightmare. I think I downloaded this like a week ago, I want to say. It might not even been a week ago. Because I wanted to wait a little bit for him to get, his views on it. I think it's been a week, or almost a week. So finally looking at, well, now I need to edit and put it up, but I might take another day before I do that. I still gotta edit some Harley Quinn reactions that I'm doing. But yeah, date night horror stories. I don't have any real like horrible stories as far as like horror, as far as like a date night horror story, but there was a time when I went on a blind date. I think I was 14, 15, somewhere around there. Might have been, no, I think I was older than that. I think it might have been, yeah, no, I was older than that. I think I might have been 16, maybe. But I went on a date, a blind date, and we went to go see a movie, and I hated the movie, so I only went because it was blind, and I was like, oh, fine, I'll go. I didn't want to go on a blind date, but I was like, whatever, I'll go. I was like, it's an experience. I never had a blind date before at that time, so at that time, I never had a date at period. But I went on a date. The girl's boyfriend was there, and the place was packed, and he sat right next to her. So when me and my friend got there, because it was his girlfriend and it was her friend, so they were like best friends. And she's like, "Oh, we want to go out," and her friend was like, she was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll do nothing." I guess all this stuff. And she said, "Won't you go with me?" And she said, "Won't you when we do a blind date?" And then that's when my friend, which she was dating, asked me if I would go, and I really did not want to go because I was so nervous. But then I was just like, I don't care, because I like, girl and me didn't go to the same school, so it doesn't really matter. But I ain't gotta worry about this. I only gotta deal with this if it's embarrassing one time, and that's it. So went there. Her boyfriend was there. He's sitting next to her. He has his arm around her. So I'm like, okay, this supposed to be a blind date. And then so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm not about to start a confrontation with this guy that I don't know. And I just met this chick. I haven't even actually met her, because we got there late, and she saved the seats. So I didn't actually introduce myself to her. So we just sat down, and the movie already started, so we don't start talking during the movie. But it was I was so mad. I was like, this is crazy. I'm sitting here. Not her boyfriend, sorry, it's her ex-boyfriend. And I was like, he got his arm, and she just letting out, but I guess they had just broken up, so. But still, that's your ex. Why you let him, and you here on a blind date, and you let this dude put his arm right. But I'm like, I'm not even going, because I'm not going to get in the confrontation with it. I don't know this guy, I don't know her. I was just sitting there, and then the movies, I think it was some movie with Queen Latifah in it, and it was like Bringing Down the House or something, I don't remember. But then the movie sucked. So I'm sitting there like, at least it would have been a good movie, or a movie I liked. Then I'd have been, all right, whatever, I could watch the movie. But I'm sitting there, so I get up. I think it was like halfway through, I get up. And I didn't want to leave like that. So, because I think I drove there, so I had to drive my friend back. So I was like, fuck. Even though I live like literally walking distance from that theater, I could have just went home, but I didn't want to leave him there. So I went and played. They had some arcade there, like 2 arcade machines, and I remember I think they had like Time Crisis, Time Crisis 2 or something like that. So I'm sitting there playing the game, and my friend comes out. He like, "You alright, man?" I said, yeah, I'm good. I was pissed off at the whole situation, but for some reason I was more pissed off that the movie was bad than anything else. And I was like, this movie sucks. So I went back in. We sat down. I think the movie was like halfway. When I left, it was like halfway through. So I think that only like 10 minutes that went by the time my friend came up and got me. I went back. His girlfriend, I guess, she was like, she was whispering me, won't you take his arm off? I was like, so you want me to start a fight, basically. I'm going to grab this dude's arm. I don't know. He pull his arm off her. I'm like, now, if she was my girlfriend, yeah, what the fuck? Like, who do you think you are? But I don't know her. This is a blind date. I don't know her. I don't know him. Like, I'm not about to do this. Like, I'm not about to get confrontational with this guy. So she does it. She grabs his arm, throws it off. I mean, she threw it like hard off around her neck, and then took my arm and put it around. I was like, wow. And me being the introvert I am, it's even more awkward. I feel even weirder now. Like I'm just sitting there, like okay. And the guy kind of like, he was like, come on, man. He's like, oh, that's messed up. I'm like, I just like, okay. Because he didn't know. I think he later on, my friend, he had apologized. He didn't know that this was a blind date. But he apologized to me, and then he apologized to her, I guess, and her founder. But I was just like, that was the most awkward experience ever in my life. I kind of, because I just got over it quickly though, because I didn't know any of them, and that was the first time I actually met my friend's girlfriend. I think I hear him talking to her on the phone, so that's the first time I actually met her, and that was so awkward. I was like, this is anyway. Let's get into this. I was gonna wait to talk about that later, but I forgot to talk about it before the reaction. Anyway, let's get into this. Here we go.
My older sister Jen is 5 years older than me, and this story also happened 5 years ago. Before Jen was dating her current boyfriend, she used Tinder to meet a few guys. I remember the night specifically. She told me and our other sister Maria that she was meeting a guy at a bar a few blocks down. When she got there, she sat at the bar and texted the guy to let him know where she was sitting. Under a minute passes and a man sits next to her, offering to buy her a drink. This man is significantly older than my sister, and according to her, gave off a horrible smell, had bad breath, and had a crooked front tooth. She told him no thank you right away, as she had a guy coming to meet her.
Crooked front tooth, he may be able to.
He kept sitting there,
get
said he'd buy her a drink in the meantime before her date got there. Jan felt very uncomfortable and asked the man to please leave her alone. The man got up from the bar stool. Jan told us she did a side glance to see where the man had gone, and she said he sat at one of the nearby table booths. Jan texted her date about what just happened.
I mean, yes, he's the date.
There wasn't a response, so she sits there a few minutes, texts again, where are you? This time the guy responds, running late, get a drink or two without me. Now, this was an odd text for a guy to send to a girl he's meeting. And to make it even worse, the man from before came back to sit next to Jan.
Well, she's kissing her hand
and acting all upset that she was still alone. My sister responded to the man once or twice, then had enough and asked him to please leave her alone once again. She texted her date one more time, saying, sorry, I'm gonna leave.
Like, will you kindly fuck off?
As she sent it, the man's phone, which she left on the bar, vibrated. My sister immediately put two and two together. Said she's going to the bathroom. I remember she called our sister Maria.
So I'm just gonna go powder my nose. You hear a window
Maria told her just leave and drive.
Somebody like jump out.
Listened in on the conversation.
Car start and
when Jan left the bathroom, the man was no longer anywhere to be seen in the bar, which I'm sure she found to be a relief. She went straight to her car and started driving home. It's a very linear and short path from that bar, and she was home in probably a couple minutes. When she pulled up in the driveway and started walking to the front door, she noticed another car pull up across the street.
Does this take place in
It didn't stop directly in front of the house across the street. It stopped one house over. Jan came inside, and from here on, I can tell the story from my own point of view.
I'd have threw a brick at her.
Maria and I came to greet Jan and ask her what happened. She went to the window and creased the blinds to look outside. She told us there was a car out there before, and she was worried it followed her. But when all three of us looked through the blinds, we didn't see a car out there. So she told us the unsettling story of what happened at the bar. Maria did a better job at comforting her than I. Girl thing, I guess. I did tell her that if that man ever stepped foot near her again, I'd kick his ass. Later on, we all went to our rooms and did our own thing. I was playing Far Cry 4 on my computer when I heard the horrible sound of both my sisters screaming. Now let me shift back to Jan's perspective for a second. She was on her phone in bed when she got a text from that number. It said, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I didn't see your text until I got to the bar." Jan didn't answer that, so he sent a follow-up text saying, "I'm gonna meet you at your house. Which window is yours?" Jan called Maria to come to her room to look at the text. As they talked for a little bit, figuring out what to do, Jan's window slid open, and someone tried pushing their way through the roller shade.
Wow, why wasn't the window locked?
Maria and Jan screamed, causing not only me, but our parents from upstairs to come rushing to her room.
You get the window down, the shade
down. The man trying to
down,
come in gave up before we even made it to the room. Our dad went outside to try and chase after the man, but he was already long gone in his car probably. Of course, my dad called the cops.
You ain't catching no crackhead.
Jan gave the police the man's cell phone number, and they took records of the text conversation. They said they were going to do what they could to trace the number, though it could take a few days. My dad was contacted after the weekend by the local police station, and they asked him to come in. At the station, they said they traced the number to be a fake number through some app, and that there was no guarantee they could trace the use back to a specific phone. My dad asked them to do whatever they
I've done that. Use
weeks passed, and we never heard from the police, but we all slowly started to forget about it. You could never really understand people's motives and how they think they'll get away with something.
I just didn't want to pay a phone
Climbing
bill
into a girl's window.
I used the app at one time. I was like, I don't even use my phone. I'm paying for an alarm clock. That's basically what I was doing.
I've been using the app Hinge to meet new people in the town I just recently moved to.
Hinged.
I matched this girl, Kate. She was about 7 years older than me.
That's some app from overseas.
She's 30, I'm 23. It was my idea to meet her at some small restaurant in town.
7-year difference.
I waited in my car in the parking lot for her to pull up.
It gets a little weird when it starts
she was
getting
having trouble finding the place.
15 and 20 year difference
with her.
to me.
After doing so,
I don't judge.
shortly after pulled up in some lemon of a car, old beater Honda. I actually felt a sense of disappointment when I saw it was her stepping out of it. I went out to hug her hello. She said she wasn't a hugger though, so I shamefully put my arms back down. Bad start.
So you go to hug, they're like, oh, I'm not a hugger.
When we sat down at a table inside,
I was able to see that
she looked different from her pictures. Worse. Like, she was the girl in the pictures, sure, but it seemed as though she had her pictures doctored up to make her look better. She also looked to be older than 30.
I never understood
already
that.
Not feeling this day.
Why people do that, especially if you're going to meet this person.
I'd have to sit through the dinner with her. When the waitress came to start us off with drinks,
should have FaceTimed.
Really awkward. Like the way her voice suddenly raised in volume and intensity as she spoke to the waitress. She stuttered as she kind of rudely said she just wanted water. She turned down my offer.
This bitch crazy.
So I went through the whole dinner with her, and in my head I was really just thinking about how excited I was to get out of there. The check came, and I waited to see if she'd make any offer to chip in for it, since I really had no plans of seeing her again. But she did not. So I paid the check, and we grabbed her phones.
Oh, she would have. I'd have been like, "Oh, we're gonna split this."
I told her I had a really nice time and whatever. Seemed she didn't really want to go home though. I had to kind of force myself to break off because I really just wanted to go home. I said bye and got in my car. She didn't say bye back. She instead just walked to her car. I drove home to my apartment, which is the lower half of someone's house. I didn't even finish hanging up my coat before the doorbell rang.
This house looks
Checked through the
familiar,
window
like I've
who it
seen
could
it
be.
in a movie somewhere.
And it was Kate.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't stopped sharing my location with her.
Oh,
What could she want? I hadn't forgotten anything at the restaurant, and even if I had, she could have texted
you
me.
forgot something. These
It was then
nuts.
that I realized this woman might actually be nuts. I walked away from the door and hid in the kitchen with the lights off. I got a text from Kate saying, "I know you're home." I replied, "What do you want? Why are you here?" She texted back, "Answer." I didn't answer that time. I stayed in the kitchen and waited there for a while until she texted again saying, "I see you at the table. Let me in now."
Oh, bro. Let you
I knew
in.
I was sitting there. She could see me. In a panic, I looked at all the windows till I saw the one. It was one of the backyard windows where I hadn't lowered the shade all the way down.
Oh,
And through that little opening at the bottom, I saw her eyes creeping in. Freaking out, I went to my room and stayed in there with the lights off while I called 911 to report a trespassing. I had the call on speakerphone so I could read the insane text Kate was sending me. One of her texts said, "Nobody wants me, I'm sick of it." Another said, "You're just like the others." Then I heard the sound of glass being broken outside my room.
It's probably
I ran to
you,
lock my
baby
bedroom
girl.
door
It's
and
not
told the
that
operator
issue.
that she was breaking into my house. The woman on the line said to wait in my room and grab something to use as a weapon. She said the cops would be there shortly. Kate tried the doorknob to my room, and when it wouldn't open, started pounding angrily, yelling for me to open up.
Open up so I can
911
kill you.
operator to send the cops in through the back, as that was how she broke in. Luckily, this town seems to have a fast 911 response time, because cops were there in minutes. 3 cop cars, actually.
Must have been a
I
white
heard the cops
neighborhood.
talking with her, telling her to calm down. That was when I opened the door to see 4 cops around her, with her being already in cuffs. She was taken away and charged with breaking and entering and some other charges. I had the option to take her to civil court for damages to my property, but the time and lawyer fees would be more than the cost to just fix the window, so that's what I did. I did get a restraining order against Kate, though, who I later learned her real name was actually Pamela Castillo.
Panela Castillo. This bitch catfishing. You're just like everyone else. You don't want to ram this
It was my
pussy.
first date with a girl from an online dating website. I offered to have her over and cook for her. I'd been out of the dating scene for
You
a long
invite her
time
to your
since
house.
I recently broke up with my girlfriend at the time. The woman's name was Amelia. She was 26. I was 32 at the time. I didn't really think having her over for dinner before meeting her was weird. If anything, it would be more relaxed and comfortable than meeting at some bar or restaurant. I was cooking some penne alla vodka with garlic bread and wine.
Yeah, comfortable
my
for
favorite
you
combo.
because it's at your house. But still.
Amelia arrived around 6:30. I welcomed her in and asked her to take a seat at one end of the kitchen table. I was finishing up the food as I tried to get to know her. She wasn't as talkative as I was expecting based on her appearance. I had to lead most of the conversation. I was slightly nervous given that it was my first time having a first date in years, and it didn't help that she wasn't exactly the easiest to talk to. I served her a plate of food and a glass of wine. Then she asked something odd. She wanted me to go get a candle so that we
She
could
was
have
like,
a proper cheers.
Are you into
I
BDSM?
had nothing else to say but to go along with it. I left the kitchen to the pantry
Like,
closet in the
go
hallway to get more
on.
candles and a lighter. When I came back to the kitchen, I spotted Amelia sitting back down, like very quick-like. It looked
Bitch up
kinda
some.
sketchy. Everything
Bitch
okay?
up to no
She asked.
good.
To which she replied she just had to rinse her hands. Odd, because I didn't hear the
Bitch.
sink run.
Don't lie to
I
me.
moved past it and lit the candle. Then we did a little cheers. I was
She
about
put
to
some
take a
in
sip
this
of
drink.
my wine
Yeah.
when I noticed something floating in the glass. Something that wasn't in it before. It looked like a powdery substance being dissolved into the wine. I watched as she looked at me, not taking a sip of my wine. I pretended to take a sip and nervously continued conversation. I was assuming the worst, that she tried to drug me. But I couldn't just accuse her of that. What if I was wrong?
Shit, I
Crazy.
accuse. I've been like, bitch,
She
fuck
ate
is
our
this?
food and I cleaned up the table afterwards. She excused herself to the bathroom, which
Pulled
I
a
pointed
bat
her
out
to.
from underneath the table.
She was gone for a while, but when she came back, she said she had to get going because her dog was sick.
She was gone.
I had no problem with her leaving. I walked
She
her out and
unlocked
hugged
the
her
door
goodbye.
or unlock the window.
I went back to the glass of wine and smelt it, but it didn't smell like anything except wine.
She did something.
I made sure nothing was stolen from the kitchen to the hallway to the bathroom. After cleaning, I watched TV while telling my friends that I think she tried to drug me. Then I went to sleep.
Someone drug you and
Actually, I
shove a
didn't
dildo up your ass.
I have acute insomnia, which comes on and off. And this was one night I just couldn't get shut-eye. I rolled from one side of the bed to the other for hours. And it must have been like 2:30 or something when I heard a cup fall from my kitchen. That terrified me because, well, cups are pretty stationary objects. I didn't see why or how one could have fallen from the counter.
Because somebody in there
Suddenly
fucking
my
with you.
door opened and someone stepped inside.
Oh, hell.
I didn't move. I pretended to be asleep, but with one eye half open. Someone stood in front of the doorway for a few seconds, then left the room. I
She's
waited
making sure he
before
was
getting up
asleep.
to follow, and hopefully get the kitchen phone to call the police.
Where's your
There
phone?
was a glimmer of light in the living room from the street light outside. With that, I was able to see her body in the corner of the room. She wasn't ducking, nothing. She was just idly staying in place.
Is this photoshopped or is this
Amelia,
like from a
I
movie?
said, afraid of what would happen next. She was standing by the knife holder.
Amelia?
Amelia, if you leave right
Fuck
now, I
out.
won't call the cops.
Shit.
There was this awful, chilling silence before she put something back on the counter, walked to the back door, and exited.
You walk out
She
and
put
it's
back on the
a
counter
big
and
ass
turned out
black.
to be a knife.
Oh, it's a knife.
When she left, I locked the door first thing, of course. I
Well,
think
dildo
she
is
used
just
the
a
bathroom.
knife
She unlocked the
or-
back door with plans of returning.
Holes.
This was after her plan to drug me failed. Of course, I called the police, and they took the knife for fingerprints. Based off her criminal background, police later showed up to Amelia's house and arrested her. I did not press charges.
Shit, this chick was coming to kill you. I don't even know if she wanted to rob him. Because if she drugged him and it knocked you out, then she could have just taken whatever she wanted. She didn't need to, like, kill him. Unless she's getting a knife just in case. She said, I don't know how much it takes to keep him asleep for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever. So I get a knife just in case he comes down to attack me. I can just stab it there. But this almost seems like she was gonna drug him and just gonna come in here. And like I said, she walked off. When she went to the bathroom, she unlocked a door so she can get in. And this dude don't check to see if his doors are locked. Which is, I don't know why you don't do that. I lived in apartments where I've done that, where I made sure my doors were locked, windows were locked when I go to sleep. Because you just never know. And people, it's just like when I tell people, I've told friends, like, make sure your car is locked. They're like, oh, I live in the same neighborhood and all that stuff. I've been in a neighborhood with people where they said you never think anyone would like rob them or anything like that. They never had anybody robbing houses or anything, breaking and entering, none of that. And you would think still, just lock your cars, lock your windows, lock your doors. I remember someone told me that someone walked down the street, it was like they were like teenagers, and he said he think they moved like a few houses down from him, so like kind of far down the street or whatever. And so they were just going car to car, any cars that are parked on the curb in the street, and just seeing them they opened. They were just like pulling it, and if like an alarm went off or something, then they would just keep walking and would walk by, just start walking like faster or something like that. But I was like, I've seen that in other places, like in rough neighborhoods I've been at, where literally seen people just walking, pulling cars. I even seen people go people's driveways and pull they door handle to their car, see if it open, and they can just grab anything real quick, put in their pocket to go pawn it. Maybe you get a wallet, maybe you get a phone, a GPS. Yeah, it was I think on the west side here. What happened? It happened on the north side. It happened all over. But I read a story on the west side. People were they were telling people to take these belongings out of the car, or if you want to leave in your car, put it in like your glove compartment or your armrest or something, because there were people like breaking windows to get in the car. So you got someone breaking the window, getting in the car, and gets it. So now you've lost valuables in your car, and you got a broken window. You know, so I'm like, these people just don't care. But yeah, yeah, never had any horror stories with that. Like one thing, if I meet somebody on social media, one thing I am not doing is I'm not if a first day I'm not inviting them to my house. I'm not going to their house and I'm not coming. You're not coming to mine. You're going to a public area. We probably do maybe the cliche thing. We'll go to a movie. Well, I usually do go to a movie first and then go to dinner. That way you have something to talk about at dinner rather than going to dinner. And you got to try to sit there and think of conversation and then go to a movie. You know, and then you go home after it. But yeah, I would never do not the first date. Go into somebody's house. Maybe like the third, fourth date. Well, we go to somebody's house if we want to and just hang out. And it's not necessarily somebody got to cook. But if either one, because I can cook. So if she wants to cook, we can go to her house and cook. But that's like a third, fourth date type thing, not a first. Especially if you're meeting for the first time. Like you did it online. But yeah, never had any real nightmarish things like that. Not like that with somebody. I've heard people, they told me stories about different situations they've been on first dates. I know when I was in the military, some guy told me that a girl pulled a knife on him or something in the date because he didn't want to go home with her. It was something similar to that with the second video, the second story where he was just, she didn't look as hot as she did in the pictures. And I don't know if they were years ago or she gained some weight recently or what. I don't know. I didn't see the girl, but he was just like, she did not look hot like her pictures. He didn't say it was a different person altogether, but he was just like trying to leave. He told me he was like walking in the parking lot or something like that. And he heard footsteps. He turned around, she walked up on him, and he said she had like a switchblade out. He said he just took off, just run. He ran, and I think he said she chased him, but you know, he was in the military at the time, so he was in shape, and plus he was like he thought he was like a fitness guy. You know, it's like he probably a whole ass. You couldn't catch him. He told us that he was drunk. He was telling us that he was drunk off his ass. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed my reaction. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. We'll upload new videos. Comment down below if you enjoyed the video. What did you think about it? What was your worst dating experience? Doesn't have to be a horror, but I mean, probably you would felt like a horror. Like I told you about my blind date experience that had nothing really to do with the chick, but the ex-boyfriend. That was just the whole situation. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you have any horrible experiences you want to share. And make sure to share this video on your platforms, on your social media platforms. And I'll see y'all next video. Peace.